Jake actually finally sent me a message. I know you guys have been waiting a long time to find out what happened to Jake. Now, I don't know if everybody out there has been following us over here, but basically Jake was in big trouble over there in America. What happened to Jake over there in America during this time of geopolitical problem? Basically almost next to not working over there in America, but Jake came over here to Japan. Let me kind of go over everything for you guys out there, so just to kind of bring you up to speed. So Jake is this guy who was living over there in America, and he basically was job hunting since about 2 or 3 years, and he had some really odd jobs that he had to take because actually he has a family. And so he had to take these odd jobs. I think one was like Uber and one was over there at Burger King. Now, the thing about Jake is he has a master's degree in mechanical engineering. And that's why this story has been consuming a lot of you out there. You're kind of confused as to why Jake, who has years and years and years of experience in mechanical engineering, who has been working over there in Boston for so many, many years, and then finally the conclusion of his employment over there was he basically was let go. In his case, was because of AI. So he is a mechanical engineer, and AI really doesn't affect mechanical engineers or even electrical engineers all that much. But in his company, they basically fired almost everybody in the company, and AI kind of took over their company. And with the mechanical engineering and the electrical engineers at his company, they were basically kind of outsourced. So he lost his job. Now, you know, there's a lot of companies around the world, especially over there in America, and what they're trying to do is they're trying to make as much money as they can. And they're using AI and this kind of a robotic technology to do the job that Jake and a lot of his co-workers were doing, but unfortunately are not doing anymore. Now, like I mentioned before, Jake does have a family, and so he was really, really desperate. So he worked at a bunch of companies over there, and he was only making basically minimum wage or a little bit above that. And so he was doing that for a while, and I got to tell you, I really respect this guy, Jake. No matter what, he puts his pride aside, and he will take just about any job that he can do to keep his family fed and, not homeless. But in the case of Jake, he basically wanted to get a better job so that he can make better money. Of course, I mean, everybody does. So Jake was trying to do that for a few years, but for some reason, he just couldn't find anything. He found some part-time gigs. He wasn't happy with that, of course, so he tried a couple of part-time gigs doing engineering, but it just was not paying the bills, and he just could not understand what he was expected to do because, there's a lot of companies out there, not only there in America, but around the world. And what they do is they'll hire part-time employees, and they will actually kind of expect them to work more than part-time, and they won't pay them. And that does happen. And of course, everybody out there knows that. So that's what happened to Jake. So, by the way, Jake's wife is from Japan. So his wife was saying to him, hey, what we could do is we can relocate over here to Japan. By the way, I am based over here in Japan. I am from America. I have been living over here in Japan for basically 26 years now. And it's 25 or 26 years. I'm losing count. But basically, I have been living here for quite some time. This is way before the geopolitical situation happened over there in America, where basically tons of Americans are not able to find positions in Japan or basically around the world so easy. And what I told Jake was, because he did contact me after a while, his wife, who is Japanese, found me, and apparently they did a Google search and found the JE group. And so she contacted me, and she is not from Tokyo, but she is from around Tokyo. It's a place called Saitama. Saitama is near Tokyo. It's a big countryside. And she said that she was really thinking about moving her husband, and the family over to Japan. So they contacted me just because they wanted to find out if there's any way that I could possibly help. Now, the problem here is Jake is really not the kind of guy who is, real happy about leaving America, because he's one of those guys where he completely loves America and he does not want to leave America. I told Jake, because I did talk to him after a while, and I told Jake, I said, hey, Jake, you know what? I am American too, and I love America. I love everything about America. What I don't like about America is the politics, and I don't like that my country, our country, is being divided by some of the people over there who tend to love Donald Trump. So I talked to Jake, and I said, hey, Jake, listen. I completely love America. I'm from America, and but I've been living over here in Japan for about 26 years. So Jake says to me, well, how can you do that if you love America? And I told Jake, I said, hey, Jake, listen, you can love your country and still roam the earth. I mean, if you were to, let me put it to you this way. A lot of people say they're from Japan or they're from America and they love their country and they never want to leave their country. And I tell them this, hey, listen, back up, take a big view of where you are. You are on Earth. You're not just in your country. You are on this planet Earth, which is going around the sun at billions of light years around the sun, and you're in space. You're not just in your country. So you might want to relax your idea of what do you love? Do you love your country, or do you love Earth? Or and it's basically dirt we're living on. So I told him, I said, hey, listen, I love America too, but I love traveling around the world. And Jake never had this kind of experience with traveling around the world, because he thought it was really, really difficult to get visa sponsorship. He thought it was really, really super, super difficult. You can't do it these days because of the geopolitical situation. But I told Jake, I said, hey, Jake, actually, I have your resume and I hope it's okay because your wife gave it to me. And he said, it's okay. And I said, Jake, I think we can help you, but I really need to talk to you a little bit more in depth about, your dreams and your aspirations and, your level of Japanese. Well, his level of Japanese was 0. I think he could say like konnichiwa or something like that, but basically it's kind of like he can't come over here to Japan and work right away. So what I did was I said, listen, I would like to have a sit down with you and your wife, and I would like to talk to you a little bit about how realistic it would be if you wanted to come over here to Japan to work. And so after speaking with the both of them for literally 2 hours, I believe, we came to a great plan where he can actually relocate over here to Japan. But I told him that we're going to have to put together a plan before you come to Japan on how you can come over here and actually live a good life, and how you can learn Japanese at a certain level so that you can work within the company. And actually was not easy, and I never tell any of my clients over here at the JE Group that anything is really easy, but because we've been doing this since 1989, we basically do know how things work around the world, and we know certain people who know people who know people who know people, right? We've been doing this since 1989, so we are very, very, very connected with a lot of people who can make things happen in terms of employment, in terms of visa sponsorship, and everything is very, very, very legal. And that's one thing that I told Jake, is that as long as you're doing everything legal, there is no problem whatsoever. So to make a long story short, Jake and his wife said we need to think about this, because the plan that I came up with wasn't exactly what they thought they would have to do to come over here. Now don't get me wrong, his wife can come over here with the family without Jake, and she can relocate over here no problem, but you don't want to leave Jake back there in America right now, because we really don't know what's going to be happening over there in America in terms of the geopolitical climate. And Jake said, well, even though he is a little bit worried about what's happening over there and around the world, he's a little bit concerned about the plan that I came up with. He's concerned about his wife. He's concerned about his kids and things like that too. And I said, hey, you know what? We are not ever going to pressure any of our clients into taking some kind of service that makes them feel a little bit nervous. So take your time, think about it, and come back to me. So what happened? So what happened is about a week went by, and Jake contacted me, and he said, you know what? I want to give this a try. I don't know if it's going to work, and I don't know if you can actually help me, because it seems like it's a little bit tricky these days to get visa sponsorship. And I told him, hey, you know what, Jake, that's really cool. The way we work is we work in a way that other people don't work. So whereas an agency, a headhunter, a recruiter really wants to do things really quickly and kind of like there's a lot of recruiters out there, headhunters and whatnot, and they'll give you any job that they can give you, and we work in a way that is going to benefit you 100%. And so what we told Jake is, hey, listen, why don't we get the process going, and you'll see the opportunities that come your way that you would not normally get if you were to stay over there in America and either try it yourself or, you know, like for example, if his wife said to him, let's move to Japan, and Jake is like, okay. So Jake probably would go on a bunch of, you know, job boards over here, and the job boards don't pay, you know, well at all. And Jake said to me something really interesting. He said to me, hey, Michael, what I don't want to do is end up going to Japan and working as an English teacher, because that's what everybody is sending me. So he went on a bunch of job boards in terms of working over here in Japan, and everybody wants him to work as an English teacher. They want him to work with children, and they, you know, and things like that. But Jake is like, that's not my career. That's not my focus. And I said, I know. That's why you should never, ever, ever do that. If you have a focus that is career-oriented, professional, and you want to maintain your career path. So Jake said, okay, let's go ahead and give it a go. So we did. We gave it a go. And the process in the very beginning is a little bit slow, especially the first couple of weeks, because what we need to do is interview him and make sure that he's interviewing very well for over here in Japan, because he's going to have to do interviews. This is not like we just give him a job and he goes for it. That's not the way it works. He does have to interview. He does have to get the job in the normal way. The biggest difference here is that we will set up every single interview for him. I think what you guys probably want to think about is something that is called reverse recruiting, reverse recruitment. And that's exactly what we've been doing since 1989. We basically will take over your job hunt, set up every single interview for you. You don't have to do anything except prep with us. And when I say prep with us, that means role play. That means simulation, interview training, and you will train directly with me, and because I want to make sure that the highest quality is maintained over here at the JE Group for job hunters who would like to find jobs not only domestically but globally. So Jake asked me this question, and I thought it was really insightful of him. He asked me if there's any other countries that he could work in, and I said yes, of course, because we have a global reach. For example, Bali, Malta. We also work over there in Jamaica and Thailand and some other places that are not really going to be on job boards and things like that. But we do have connections worldwide. Our reach is vast since 1989. And so I said yes, but however, his wife did not want to live in another country. So Jake, you know, he's a married man. He has children, so he has to do what he has to do. And so we're working with him now. And he's already received some offers of interviews. And what we're doing now is we are meeting with him and we are practicing a simulation interview as though, for example, I am the company that he has an interview with. Now, because we know the ins and outs of all of the companies that we will set up with him, we know who's going to interview him, and we know the style, we know the questions that they're going to be asking him, and we know the answers that he should be given. So it works well for everybody. It's a win-win-win-win situation for everybody. And so Jake is well on his way to relocate over here to Japan with full visa sponsorship. His wife seems to be a little bit happy. His children are a little bit worried because, you know, they don't speak Japanese too. I suppose his wife speaks English back over there in America a lot, but just a few words here and there that they kind of, remember. But you know how kids are, if they don't really want to do something, they're not going to do it until they reach a certain age. So I'm working with Jake and his wife on a personal level, and we are going through this process as speedy or as slowly as they want to. And sometimes we have to give it the gas, and sometimes we have to put on the brakes. But no matter what, in the end, he will receive full visa sponsorship. If he does decide wholeheartedly to relocate over here to Japan, and he will get a job in his professional field. So we're not going to try to get him a babysitting job or teaching children or ending up teaching English over here while he, tries to maintain his family on that kind of a salary. So don't worry, Jake. We do obviously have to keep on going with the interview practice, but you're doing very well. So I think that's about it, everybody. We're going to be doing a lot more of these videos because things around the world are getting a little sticky, and a lot of Americans out there are contacting us over here because they are ready to bounce out of America because of what's happening. And a lot of people will be relocating out of America for a year or two. But in some cases, there's a lot of American people out there who want to leave America permanently. And so that's why they contact us recently. And so we're going to be working with a lot of people to try to figure out which country would be best for them, which country would be open to hiring them in their positions, and whether or not they would be successful over there. So we do this on a very, very professional basis. Now, I know there's a lot of companies out there who use AI to do this kind of process, but we don't do that. We really want to maintain that human touch with every single assignment that we work on. We're not going to be using AI to let you know which country we think you're going to be able to live in and work in. No, what we're going to do is we're going to meet you just like this online, or if you're over here in Japan, you're over here in Tokyo and you want to meet with me and you're trying to find a job over here in Japan or somewhere around the world, I am really open to meeting people over here in Tokyo to chat about your situation and whether or not you want to live over here in Japan, or whether or not you're looking for another place. You want to bounce out of Japan, you want to bounce over there to Vietnam, Singapore, Vietnam, Australia, Canada. We have reach in England and Sweden, like I mentioned earlier, Malta. We have connections for Japanese and American people who want to relocate over there to Hawaii. Now, Hawaii is a good base for Japanese people even now, because I know it seems to be a little bit expensive, but right now you have to understand that there are a lot of contacts over there who are really sending me a lot of a request for people who can speak Japanese to work over there in Hawaii. So you might want to contact me with regards to that. Anyway, that's about it for me. I really do appreciate you, everybody over there, liking and subscribing and clicking that bell and coming back and watching my videos and sharing these. We do have multiple websites out there for different kind of job hunters who are looking for positions all over the world, and we're here to help you go through the current geopolitical situation and try to get you where you want to be. Thank you very much, and as always, aloha.